Well, hello everyone. It's a Tuesday evening, and here in America, it's the 4th of July. And, well, here on the East Coast, we've had nothing but thunderstorms all day, so I don't think there'll be any fireworks tonight. Not that we can see anyway. But it didn't stop everybody from last night or all weekend, letting them off everywhere. You know, for those of you that celebrate here in America, happy 4th. For those of you in the UK, I got quite a few messages. Happy Trader Day, or whatever you want to call it. Ungrateful colonists that we are. But thanks for your great sense of humor. I love bantering with you all back and forth and everywhere else. If it's cold where you are, I wish you warmth. If it's raining where you are, I hope you've got shelter, an umbrella, And if it's hot, I hope you have a fan or AC, wherever you guys are. But I'm in a fairly decent mood today. Um, I have advertised these as an actual roster review because that's what it is. And I found out I'm covering over 13 active cases currently. And I was quite surprised that there were so many. But there are, and we're going to get through just on bullet points. These are not going to be a deep dive. This is just going to get everybody on the same page briefly. Um, because I have covered quite a lot of them already in detail or given them to you. And it'll also point out the ones we want to get more detail on. And then, if there's time, which I hope there is, I would like to talk to you all about cases that you are interested in and what's going on out there and just, chit chat back and forth a little bit about it. Hey, always createful and Mrs. Cassandra, I see you guys coming in. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Sean Coffee, welcome to Grace and Crazy Cat, MC Record, The Turtle Moves, oh, Autistic Shill. Thank you so much, all of you coming in, and all of you coming in afterwards. If I don't get you, you know that I appreciate you. Just know that I do. Um, all right. I think the best thing to do is to first say, ah, just bear with me. New style, new format, um, bullets. And if I miss an important one that you think is really, really important, I want you to tell me about it. Okay. Hey, Rocket Couch, how are you? Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Yeah. And yep, throw those otters, Mrs. Cassandra and Wrecker, because it's a little stormy here. Y'all know how I feel about that. But at least there won't be fireworks going off, at least not now. And if it does clear up, it won't be for hours yet anyway. So hopefully internet will stay, everything will be great. Um, but I'm just glad to be here with you guys again. I got a full week this week, and for the first time in months, I'm ecstatic about it. Actually, I'm really looking forward to it. There's a lot of different things I want to talk to you all about and bring forward. Have the conversations with you all. That is what I enjoy the most. So those of you in the chat that help those discussions keep going, you don't know how much I appreciate you. You make this so much more enjoyable for me. You really make it worthwhile. Hey, Book Lover 92, happy 4th. Hope you're having a good day. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is the YouTubey things because I don't want to say it. So let's just put it down there and let y'all read. Just do all that. I do hear through the grapevine that all those silly things actually do help a channel. They help us get noticed. But what do I know? I know nothing really after all these years, several years out here about YouTube. Mm-mm. Okay, let's just get right to it then. What do you say? Hey, wait, I have to remember that I got to present. Okay, so here we go. So I promised you a roster review, and here we go. The first one we're going to go over is E. Jean Carroll versus Donald Trump, because although Donald Trump was found guilty of defamation, sexual abuse, okay, in the first part of her claims, remember there were two civil suits because part of the offenses were while he was president, and then there were some after. So the first suit that she filed got held up by the Supreme Court. It had to go through the state, going to go up there to the Supreme Court, back down again, all over, because there's this thing called, presidential immunity. He just gets immunity because he was standing on, he was a president at the time that he stand there and said all those awful things about her when he made all those awful tweets about her when her book came out in 2019. She was doing a press tour and talking about it, about how she was assaulted, and he didn't like it. And, in Donald Trump's way, he talked about it a lot and in very colorful language, in very defaming language. Anyway, she won. Okay. She won a $5 million lawsuit. Now, she did not claim sexual abuse. She actually claimed no consent, penetration. We all know that word, right? Well, that's what she claimed. And because they couldn't actually prove the penetration part, the jury actually, 6 men, I remind you, and 3 women, decided that we would actually at least call it sexual abuse. What happened, it was against her will. But because they couldn't actually prove the penetration part, they did not, they downgraded it a little bit, but still said he was guilty. All right. Um, that lawsuit was the second part. All right, that actual civil suit has been settled, and he is appealing, of course. Of course, he's appealing. Okay. And in true Donald Trump fashion, the very next day he went out there and slammed her some more. So, anyway, E. Jean Carroll not only has the first claim, which has come back from the Supreme Court saying they can't actually prove that he was actually performing his so-called duties as president when he said all that awful stuff about her, because they can't actually see how that was in benefit to the employer, which would be the United States government, or rather, we the people here. They can't see how they could prove that he was actually performing his duties when talking like that. Like they do believe that presidential speeches and campaigns and things like that are for the betterment of the country if you are the president at the time. However, not everything you say, not everything you do is while performing the duties. So they drew the line. They said they couldn't tell, and they kicked it back to the state. And that is where it is right now. And it does look like that judge, who's Judge Kaplan, has decided that he can't toss it out, and he can't use his immunity status to get the case tossed. It's going to trial. It is going to trial on January 2024. Okay. Um, they denied the immunity defense. Okay. They denied getting it tossed completely for it. Not only did he not bring that defense up soon enough, it actually, because of the Supreme Court rule, they're saying that there's not there. And there was a lot of legal precedents for it. I was surprised. Okay. The most interesting thing that happened on this one lately is that Donald Trump, in his infinite wisdom, decided that since he was only convicted of sexual abuse and not the act without consent, that's defamation, because she uses the R word, um, and it besmirches his character. I kid you not. He's trying to countersue her during the same lawsuit. Anyway, good luck, E. Jean Carroll. This is going to be a long one. I think we're going to be talking about this well into 2024. I don't even see the trial happening in January 2024. Yes, Donald Trump is running for president, so there's all that too. But now we got 2 more cases to still follow on this. I would like to say that E. Jean Carroll did add all of the post-judgment uh, speeches that he gave in tweets to her suit. And she amended the language in her suit to remove the words, the rape. She removed the word rape and replaced it with sexual assault and abuse, which actually would match the first jury's determination. It's going to make it easier to go through. Because she did that, it did allow for him to countersue, and that's when she did do that. That's when they put the immunity defense through, because she had altered she had amended her lawsuit, which gave them more time, but they still was denied by the court. So we'll see. I would imagine that not only is the first suit going to be appealed till the cows come home, you know, until the chickens come to roost and the cows stop, roaming around the pastures. I'm just, it's going to be going on forever. He's going to appeal it. It, it's, it, I don't see him being quiet about it. I don't see him stop talking about it. I just see all of this frivolous lawsuit of his going back and forth. I'm wondering if the judge is going to throw it out or not, but they haven't yet. But we'll see. We've got a long haul. Like I said, we're not slated for trial on the second part of E.G. and Carroll's suit until uh, January of 2024. Hmm. Hey, Juju B. Fish Nerd, T. King, thank you all for coming in. Okay, let me just take a quick look at the chat. Oh. Oh, do you? It is a little freaky. I'm trying to keep it. I usually only use it for panels over at the Shills, but I'm trying to keep it working in good condition. So I thought I'd play with it a little bit today. You know, you have you have duct tape and zip ties for my avatar. Oh yay! Hey Gary, good to see you. And Mr. Malort, you're here. Welcome, welcome. And Gary, it's nice to see you. It is. Okay. Um, it is a little weird. I get it. But I like the blinking eyes, and at least you all know I'm alive. And if anything happens, I can talk to you in code with my eyes. I can blink out some Morse code, and you can send me donuts, or coffee, or whatever it is. Mm. Okay, cool. Okay. I'm glad you like it, Jujubee. I am, because Jujubee said I could keep it. People, you're gonna have to suffer through. Mm. Oh, you mean the duct tapes for your grumpy gremlin? Oh, okay. I thought it was for my avatar because it does freak some people out. I did get a bunch of comments about it the first time I used it. So, okay. Um, okay, cool. Okay. All right. Let's go on. You guys ready for number 2? Okay. As if that's not enough. Okay. Here we go. Huh. Courtney Clenney. Y'all remember our OnlyFans model? Taylor? Yeah. Okay. Taylor, Courtney Clenney, guilty, not guilty, actually charged with killing her boyfriend of quite a long time. His last name was Obumsola. Yeah. That happened in December. No, actually, she's been bonded on second-degree murder. She received no bond in December 2022. Remember, we were talking about that. They laid out the case during that trial, actually, like a preliminary hearing. And because of the money that she has made and the way that her father was helping her with her finances and stuff, she remains in jail with no bond. Yeah, I know, Juju. I did because as I was saying it, the Album-Selly family, let me just remind you that they are actually suing her and the actual apartment complex and the security detail that protects them there. They actually have security in that building. They are suing them all for around $50,000 for wrongful death. The Album-Selly family themselves, okay, and that's linked in the description. Um, the defense is claiming that they have new evidence that Courtney Clenney is acted in self-defense. There is evidence that they had a tumultuous relationship. There is also evidence that she fought a lot. Like there's some video going around of her in an elevator beating on him, but there's also a lot of testimony from neighbors and people like neighbors and couples that knew them and people that associated with them that say that he was also there are a lot of people coming forward and giving affidavits in her defense, and that is what the defense is filing on now, that there's new evidence of it. However, if you all go back in time with me to December, to the bond hearing, where the coroner got up there and said there's no way that that knife could have gotten his chest by her just flinging it from across the room, as deep and precise as it was put in. It looked more like a plunge injury, like an up close and personal. We all remember the photographs. I mean, if not, you can go back to a couple of my previous episodes of this particular series, and Courtney Clenney has been talked about a lot. We showed all of the evidence that they had put out. Something that here's the thing. I know it's out there and it's floating around, and even I am showing it to you, but like I'm starting to feel a little strange about things like that before trial. And again, it's going to be interesting how much of it actually comes in to the trial and doesn't get like kicked out and stuff. So we're going to have to watch this one, okay, a little closely as it starts to play out. They have a status hearing in just a couple of days, like this week, I think Thursday. We've got a status hearing or Friday, either Thursday or Friday, and we're gonna find out more then on what's gonna happen, okay, and get an actual trial date for the future. It should move along because she is in there on bond, and she's not asking for more time. She's had plenty of time with her attorney. They're not asking to delay anything. They want to start presenting the case. Okay. I do agree with you, Juju. I really do. Oh, uh-huh. Yeah, always exactly. A very toxic relationship. Absolutely. Oh, Mrs. Cassandra, the oh, the knife slipped and fell in his chest. Yes, with such force that it went in like several inches. Okay, here we go. You would have to be darn unlucky for a knife to be thrown and hit just right so it plunges into the chest. Not like we have a cage there to protect us. And he was a very well built, muscular in the front gentleman. I can't see without some force it getting in the way that he did. And the coroner testified about the injury itself and how it could have happened. And that's kind of why she's still in jail. Okay. That and the financial information that came out in regards to the dad actually helping her with her finances and stuff. He tried to show she didn't have any money, but what he did show was that money was still coming in and that she had assistance from several people in the family. And they just thought it was better that she stay in, you know. Happy birthday, Shill. Everybody, a nice happy birthday to my amazing Mod Shill. That's so nice. That is, I didn't know it was your birthday, Boo. Jeez. Mary Beth, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Fish Nerd says the knife flew out of her hand and then he tripped over the dog face first, sending it deeper. I don't know because she says she was 10 feet away. I believe that's right, Juju, and always right. She said she was 10 feet away when she threw that knife at him to keep him from coming at her. Yeah. But oh, you just got at least the notification went out, Mary Beth. I'm glad that you got one. Some people aren't even getting them, and that is frustrating me. That's why I ask you all do the YouTubey things. It's supposed to help get us back on track. Okay, so anyway, this is the she's actually she's charged with the second degree murder of her boyfriend Christian Abumseli that happened on April 3rd of 2022. So they actually arrested her after. Okay. She's claiming self-defense. And the really only thing I have to tell you is about the wrongful death suit, and that's also linked below. And that we have a Judge Laura Sheeran Cruz who's managing the case for this one. And we'll have to see if it is actually going to be televised or what is going to happen with this one. It's going to all depend. It's going to all depend. Yep, she was on the other side of the room. Right. That's not really far. I mean, not even a professional knife thrower could get it in as deep as it went in with the plunge injury that she had from that far. And that is what the coroner testified. And that's kind of shines a light on what kind of evidence is going to be presented in a court of law. It will be, Juju. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. One thing is just how different she looks from her you know, her beautification side that she puts out on OnlyFans as a model. She's not dyeing her hair. She looks completely different unmade up. She just looks like the girl next door right now. Mhm. The defense on this one's going to be very interesting. And there's quite a few with this defense coming up. It is going to be like a trend. Okay. It's going to be like a trend. But yes, they're claiming that it was a mutual toxic relationship, that she fought back in self-defense, that he's so much larger than her, that they did argue a lot. There's actually documentation of other incidences on file that I'm sure are going to come up in court if it doesn't get held back. But yep. Yeah, Mrs. Cassandra filters and everything, but she photographs so beautifully when she was done. She's a beautiful girl. Oh, beautiful. All right, next one. Another one with the battered woman defense. Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone, people. Suitcase killer. We all saw the video. That's the evidence. I mean, they showed her that during her interview when she was getting arrested. She got arrested right away. Okay. February 25th of 2020, second degree murder. She's been locked up in jail more than 2 years now. Okay. This is the one who keeps going through defense attorneys, like changing, like, I don't know what. She's on her seventh one, uh, I believe, or Frank Bankowitz. Yeah, Benkowitz is the one. And he actually tried to get out of it too. And the judge said no. He tried to get out of it before the holiday, remember? And no, judge says, nah, we're going to trial like in 7 months. Like, no, you can't go anywhere. You gotta have to stay. And she just keeps writing letters to the judge, one more crazier at the other. The last one was very long and very accusatory. She's claiming that everybody is siding against her. She's not getting justice. Her First Amendment, her rights are being compromised here. And you know what? She's been in jail for more than 2 years, and I think that there might be something to it. There were quite a few of her hearings that she wasn't able to attend because her defense attorneys could not get it together. Okay, she was either without an attorney or an attorney who didn't even bother to be go with her, or she didn't get along with them. Okay, she just has a different view of things. She's a massive letter writer. We'll see how that plays out in the trial. But this trial's coming up soon. The end of this month, we are slated to have this trial. However, depending lately, one thing that I did tell you about in a previous episode about a week or so ago was that Frank Benkowitz went to the judge and said, I can't get an expert witness to come and testify for Sarah Boone because the state doesn't pay enough for that, and nobody will take the case. This is a problem. If you can't put an adequate defense up based on what is actually offered as services under everybody's is entitled to an attorney and services from the state to defend themselves if they cannot afford one. But if they don't pay enough for the expert witnesses to take it, like, I don't know, it may be a delay. I mean, that is their defense, battered woman defense. And if they can't get an expert, psychologist, therapist, somebody in with the battered woman defense to come forward and give expert testimony on her condition or on how women normally act under this, it's not an adequate defense. It could delay things a little bit. So I'm watching it to see what happens. I haven't seen a postponement yet, but we'll see. But love that little smirk on her face, huh? She literally thinks she knows better than everybody. I mean, if you've watched the interview, if you watched when they were there and how she spoke to everyone, she literally just thinks that she's just so damn clever. So damn clever. But it was heartbreaking to watch the actual TikTok video of her talking to that suitcase. Now, whether she be a battered woman or not, there is documentation of abuse in this relationship also, but there's also documentation that she was the aggressor. They actually have law enforcement statements in previous domestic violence cases against her in an arrest to where she was the aggressor and he was just fighting her off. So we shall see. And they also have that red hot TikTok video, her own voice. She made it herself. It was on her phone. It was there. And she's talking to him while he's begging her to get out of that suitcase. Okay. I don't know. This one's going to be quite interesting also. Yeah, it's either 6 or 7. Bankowitz is either 6 or 7. I can't even get it straight from the articles that they write or any of the court documents. I really can't. I tried counting them, but because they have partners and stuff, it's really difficult. But thank you always. I don't. She is a prime example of stop talking. Yes. She did herself in. She just chatted to everybody about everything and gave them more than enough evidence against her. More than enough things to check out. Okay. Yep, they gave her her rights to keep her mouth zipped, and she didn't, did she? Nope. I agree. She sure didn't, and it's going to be very interesting what this case in particular. That's just it. She says she was inebriated. Yeah, Juju. I was a drunk idiot. Okay, I get that, but she was sober enough to yell at him, talk to him, and actually record it and leave him there and disregard everything he was saying. Yep. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if she meant it or understood it, but I don't think she cared one way or another. Her lack of disregard is a type of murder. It would be manslaughter anyway. Yep. Whether it be second degree murder or manslaughter, I don't know, you know. Very toxic relationship documented by law enforcement in the area and neighbors and exes and everything. Yep. She didn't care enough to make sure he wasn't, even with his pleading. I know. She did. She pulled everybody in. She pulled her ex in from down the road, like all the time. And she has a child with him, her ex-husband. Hmm. Yep, the suitcase even had a broken zipper pull. Anybody who watches on any of that, yep, this is another one where a lot of the evidence is out already. The interview is out already, okay, that she did with the police. We're gonna have to see what they're allowed to enter into evidence as the trial progresses. And here's my concern. When are they going to start the defenses fighting the evidence by saying it's already out in the public and you've damaged the jury pool, so we're not even you can't even present that prosecution. When are they going to start pushing back like that? And what happens if they do? Like, I have to look that up. That occurred to me just a little while ago when I was talking about Clenney and all those bloody pictures and anything. Isn't that prejudicial against the accused to have all that out there before the trial? Hmm. I wonder. I want to see some Supreme Court cases on that one. I do. Yep. Jujubee says, a little advice. Here we go. This is words to live by. A little advice, everyone. If someone wants to zip you in a suitcase, just say no. Please. Yes. Yes. Words to live by. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel terrible for George and his family. I don't know if they were married. They keep listing him as a boyfriend. So I don't think they were married, but they were in a long-term relationship. You know, I don't know. Mrs. Cassandra, you don't need to make sure that you fit in the suitcase to be disposed of properly. No, please stay out of the suitcase. Don't go in the suitcase. And I don't want to make light of this anymore. You guys are cracking me up, but this one's rough. Okay. I do feel for his family. It is a terrible way to go with such disregard. And I am another case that we are all looking forward to. Yeah, they're not legally married, right? But they've just been in a long-term relationship. Yeah. Thank you always. Thank you for the clarification. Hey, Mousy. Nice to see you. All right. A name we haven't heard of in a while because I have not brought an update on this. But I do owe you an episode on this, and this one's on the list for within the next couple of weeks, but just briefly. Okay, Samuel Bankman-Fried, the ex former FTX CEO who's been charged with fraud and conspiracy and money laundering and a pyramid scheme and everything you can think of. He's got the FCC, the SEC, everybody all pissed at him. He's got politicians mad at him. He has crypto kings mad at him. He's probably got everybody mad at him. Customers, you name it. Nobody likes Samuel Bankman-Fried right now, even though he's made people millions and billions of dollars. Okay. And when we first spoke about this, I did tell you that the amount of money involved in these frauds and the bail and everything else is even more than they gave Bernie Madoff with the Ponzi scheme. And that was horrific. This is like astronomically more proportionate. Huge. It's international, multi-country, all over the place. Okay, but we can only charge him on what on for the American customers here, and bank fraud and things like that. He's got misappropriation, bribery, a whole bunch of stuff. We originally charged him with 8 charges while he was in the Bahamas. Okay, and he needed to be extradited. Once he was extradited, they had information from the investigation and they added an additional 5 charges, more charges of securities frauds and all kinds of stuff. So right now, we're going to end up with two trials, because rather than dismiss the 5 charges that were actually made post extradition, because here's the thing, you can't charge them post extradition without permission from the extraditing location. So the Bahamas actually have to weigh in that they will go, that it's okay to do the other 5 charges. They actually have to weigh in with an approval here because he was located in the Bahamas. He's a Bahamas citizen. He's got protections there. And the Bahamas are suing him themselves for a whole bunch of stuff. And the only thing that Samuel Bankman-Fried has won in regards to this lawsuit recently and all of this is that he did win the right to speak for himself in the Bahamas on why those five charges should be thrown out and they shouldn't allow it. So we're going to wait to hear about that. But as it stands right now, he is on a $250 million bond under house arrest with his parents in California. He's not in jail. He's got 3 partners who have pled guilty to various charges that he himself is also actually being charged with. His partners were Gary Wang, Caroline Ellison, and Nishad Singh. They have all pled guilty and they are all cooperating with the authorities on this case. It doesn't look good for Samuel Bankman-Fried. Okay, well, I don't know. Crypto is tough, and a lot of this was. I mean, some of it came from original money, true, but there's a whole new set of rules here. There's a whole bunch of different banking regulations in in different international transactions that were done. This one's going to be tough. There's a bankruptcy of FTX in general that was done. FTX is apparently going through a reorganization right now, and it's going to be back out there. That's what I heard just a few days ago. Was reading some articles in regards to the rebuild that was done under John Ray, who took over for Samuel Bankman-Fried, and there will be a lot of that coming forth if this does get to trial. October 2nd this year, the original 8 charges are supposed to come up, and involved in that is how he stepped down and how John Ray was actually accepted in as the new CEO and then folded FTX in America into the USA version of FTX into a bankruptcy immediately for a reorganization. Samuel Bankman-Fried has always said that he was coerced, that he got bad advice, that he was bullied into stepping down and doing this, and that actually they were actually fluid, and he had the money to pay everything, but they didn't allow him to do it so that these charges would go through, and that's been what he's talking about. Samuel Bankman-Fried is another one who doesn't believe in being quiet, and if I was his lawyer, I would be really upset with the amount of talking he's doing lately, especially knowing that all his partners have already pled and are cooperating. He's making people upset and mad. But then again, he's fighting for his life. This is a huge, huge case. And if he's found guilty, we'll never see him again. Never. Like, nope. The amount of money that he's going to owe and the amount of offenses that they're trying to put on him. Um, yep, we wouldn't see him. Yep. Hi, Liam. Thanks for joining us. You know. Well, anyway, that's on Samuel. Let's move on to the next one because I've got a whole separate one on him coming up that you can talk about. Madeline McCann. Okay, she's been missing since May 3rd of 2007 from a family vacation in Portugal. Okay, the recent DNA testing that was done did prove false claims against the woman who was saying she could have been Madeline McCann. We were talking about that one a while back about having the same type of eye disorder and all of that. But it did come out to be that it was not true. And the family did pay for the DNA to put it aside. There has been new evidence against prime suspect Christian Brueckner, who is in jail in Germany right now for SA cases. Okay, against a 72-year-old woman, and not to mention a slew of children in all, basically during the years that, oh, I'm trying to find. Oh, Christian Brueckner is injured. He's got additional charges, 3 offenses of aggravated non-consensual assault and 2 sexual abuse charges against children, all during the time period of December 28th of 2020 through June 11th of 2017. All of those offenses happened in Portugal. Okay. Um, and they are saying that was 2000, not 2020. 12/20 of 2000 through 11/20 of 17 in Portugal. They are saying that he was an active abuser during that time against children and the elderly and women during the time that Madeline McCann rather went missing. He is their primary suspect. He now has an ex-friend who is also a thief and a criminal and done some things, who is giving new evidence against him. Something about a lock-picking kit. Apparently, he broke into Christian Brueckner's home to steal some things and found passports and money and all kinds of things laying around, and this very extravagant lock-picking kit that could pick any door. And so now the new theory is that he did not take her out through a window, but actually just walked right in. Actually, picked the lock and got right in. That's the new evidence. He's already in jail. He's been the prime suspect for quite some time. Charges have not been made in the Madeline McCann case still. It's still listed as they're actively pursuing the case. In Portugal, there's an active investigation still going on, and in Germany also. The German police in particular were quite ecstatic about new evidence coming out on Christian Brueckner for this case. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. But he's already in jail for something else, so we'll just see he's not out there doing more. So, hey, Tony, nice to see you. James Craig, the dentist killer. Okay. I like seeing him in orange. Okay. This one bothers me because I'm having trouble being unbiased. I need to wait for the criminal case. But after reading the affidavit, which was long, okay. Yeah. My problem with probable cause warrants is they tell a story that sometimes I just can't deny anymore while I'm waiting for justice to be served and the legal process to happen. They nag at me in the back about all the stuff that I just read. But I have to remember that that's just a probable cause warrant. That's just the affidavit. That's just to get the indictment to go forth with arraignment. It doesn't mean that everything I'm reading is going to make it to evidence in front of a jury. And I want to remind you all of that too, because I've been done under by these affidavits, these wonderfully written, you know, looks like it's a slam dunk cases that just fall apart. Okay, one of the cases we're going to talk about today is actually evidence of that, and a good point, a good reference point to go by. But anyway, James Craig, he's been charged with first-degree murder of his wife, Angela. The affidavit shows poisoning purchases and a whole timeline there. He's got actual friends coming forward and everybody he worked with coming forward and giving affidavits and testimony and giving. He's on a $10 million cash bond. Just happened last week, June 28th. He's locked up. He can't come up with $10 million. Okay. And and the reason they had to give him a cash bond, they didn't want to. But in this state, which is Colorado, I believe, yes, Colorado, the 18th Judicial District, well, the week before, made a ruling that anybody on first degree murder charges had to be given had to be given some kind of bail bond of some type, even if it be an astronomical amount. There's some kind of loophole here. They had to give him the $10 million cash bond. The couple, his friends, actually, what was their last name? They are Mm. Their first names are Michelle and Ryan. If anybody knows the last name. Red Fearn. I think it's Red Fearn or Fern. I think it's Red Fearn because it's Fearn, Red Fearn. They are actually actively protesting this amendment that was done in Colorado because so many people up on first degree murder are going to get bond. And this is just his targets are women and, eh, this is personal to them. He was a friend. They are actually testifying against him. Yeah, Redfern. Thank you very much. Always. And they're protesting this, and they're actually doing petitions, and they're actually contacting legislation, and they want something done about this because this is just crazy to actually have the thought that people for first degree murder so egregiously. First degree is serious stuff, okay, and it's absolutely the most serious, and to actually think that they might be out if they could afford it and walking around. Okay, yep, I'm telling you, it's like crazy. Um, but anyway, that's what's going on with him. His preliminary hearing is also in about a week. A preliminary hearing for James Craig. He actually didn't want the first one because he wants everything to move forward. He's going like for faster. He wanted a little more time with his attorney, so we didn't have the preliminary hearing within the first 35 days after his arrest. But now we're going forward with it on July 12th. I don't know what his defense is going to be on this. We all talked about the evidence before when we went over this with the probable cause affidavit and what they have on him. There's a lot of stuff out there. There are people talking. There's no gag order on this case. And so this is going to be interesting. This is the one with the mistress who went into hiding. She's also an orthodontist or a dentist of some type in another state. She went missing. I'm not sure if she's going to be testifying or not. I hadn't heard anything after her after she went missing and then was crying that it's so horrible for her because everybody's calling her a homewrecker and holding her responsible for some of these. But they did have evidence of something going on between the two of them, especially since she visited him while the wife was in the hospital fighting for her life. They was, carrying on like two little lovebirds without a care in the world. And now she's crying, oh, boo boo, because like social media is after her. Well, well, that's all I have to say about that. Well, well, indeed. All right, let me just check the chat before I go on to the next one. Yep, truth hurts is right, Liam. Yeah, just because you got the shades down doesn't know we don't know what you were doing there. Like, come on. Yep. Yep, nothing. Her office closed up. That's right. Always says, nope, haven't heard anything from her or her office. Closed up shop and left the state. Yeah, probably Jujubee. There's an actual person who actually paid him a lot of money to get their teeth done, and now they're upset because he's in jail and they can't get the money back. hmm Mm, terrible. This one's bad. hmm She probably is hoping she won't get called, but I don't see how she can't. Part of the evidence of how he was so disregarding is the fact that he was in contact with her the whole time and actually paid for her to come visit him while his wife was dying in the hospital. I'm just saying, if you choose someone that is married, then you know they have questionable morals and values. So take your woe is me attitude elsewhere. Exactly. Exactly. Did he mess up the teeth? No, he just hasn't been able to do it yet. He paid a deposit of something like 50 or $40,000 and everything's all locked up. So, like, if you put that much money, I mean, I guess he was making them a whole full set or doing some reconstruction of some type. I don't know. I just read the article on it. I'll try to pull it together for you, Liam. I'll go find it and put it in the room in the dentist Craig room over there in the Discord for that case. All right. Right, let's keep this going. There's a lot. There's a lot. We're only on 6. Okay. Mallory Beach civil suit. Some of you from the Murdaugh trial will remember this coming up a lot. This is still active. We know we met Mark Tinsley in the courtroom with Alex Murdaugh. He testified against him actually. This is the wrongful death civil suit from the boating accident in 2019 that involved Paul Murdaugh in a group of his friends, and Paul Murdaugh is being accused of driving the boat under the influence, using his brother Buster's ID to get alcohol for everyone. Previously, there was a settlement with Maggie, Paul, and Buster Murdaugh and the estates that released them from this civil suit. Okay. However, Parker's, which is the actual store where the liquor was bought, or the bar, or the affiliation through how the liquor was purchased, and Alex Murdaugh, who they are saying interfered with the actual investigation, refused to settle and wanted to go to trial. So now they are. Now, recently, Alex Murdaugh and Parker's attorneys both did a joint motion trying to get Tinsley and Vox removed as attorneys, saying that they were questioning witnesses um, inappropriately. They were using information that witnesses gave them inappropriately. However, the judge looked at everything and denied that motion, and the case is going forward. We've got a trial date of August 14th in Hampton County Court again. And we all know that that one goes live. I don't know if the civil suit will actually be live. Okay, I guess they go the first time observed, but we're going to be checking in on it. We do want to see justice for this family. They were treated terribly in regards to Mallory's death. Um, they weren't even allowed to go down to the scene. The Murdaughs were. It's just been a nightmare. It's just been a nightmare for them. And I want to see them get some closure, you know. They've got a team fighting for them. We all heard Mark Tinsley and how aggressive he was in the court. He's not letting anything go. That was part of the pressure that was put on Alex Murdaugh, and what the prosecution used actually for his murder trial was this particular lawsuit as pressure and the releasing of all of his financial documents in regards to it, because Mark Tinsley was not letting go. He was going to expose everything. All right. So that's the update on this one for now. The other one in regards to the Murdaugh case that came up was the investigation into Stephen Smith's death, which was declared a hit and run death in July 8th of 2015, found on a roadside. The case was reopened in 2021 during the Murdaugh investigation and based on information they uncovered during the investigation into Maggie and Paul's death. Okay, which is quite intriguing to me. I want to hear what's going on with this one. It is going slow, but there is progress. SLED reclassified Stephen Smith's death as a homicide in March of 2023 based on the information, and then he was exhumed in April, and other autopsies were performed. The autopsy reports are in and being prepared. Everybody's going to have everything soon. The investigation continues. I'm keeping my ear to the ground on this one. If you guys hear anything about that, please let me know. You know how to reach me. All my DMs are open. If you're in the Discord, there's rooms there to post information or have discussions on all of these cases. But we're watching the Stephen Smith one very closely. And his mom is been writing presidents in writing to every official that she can and speaking to her legislators in her state, trying to get justice for Stephen. She just wanted answers. She just wanted answers. I don't know if she actually is still talking about the Murdaughs being involved. Actually, she's toned it down a little to say, I just want the truth to come out. I don't care who was involved. I just want it all. I want the truth out, you know. And as a grieving mother, I think she deserves that. I want justice, justice for Stephen, justice for Stephen's family, his sister, his mother, everyone who knew him. But to have it reclassified was a step in the right direction. Based on the head wounds. And this is another one where we have some of the information out there based on the other trials, based on the reopening of the investigation. Um, and we're just going to keep an eye on it and see how it goes. No court dates right now because no charges have been made. Okay. Another one in active and in the room is Christina Parcell's murder. This one's called the Rose Petal murder, as the body was found stabbed 30 times in her home, October 13th, 2021, with a disarray of rose petals all over the place. Now, they are saying they don't know if that was staged. There is evidence, according to documentation, that the body was dragged. However, it does also look like there was a tussle, and those rose petals could have just been fallen down from, whatever altercation happened. Okay. A friend of her ex-husband, Zachary Hughes, a younger man, was arrested on November 3rd for this murder. There is evidence of him going to the scene. And unfortunately for Zachary Hughes, there is DNA evidence that has been reported as being removed from underneath the fingernails of Christina Parcell. And it's obvious that she had an altercation before her death. Um, this one's a very dicey case. There's a lot going on here. She's also her fiance, Brad Post, okay, and herself are being sued civilly by some parents of minors who they are being accused. And Parcell's being sued posthumous to her estate, saying that there was some abuse and some pornographic activity involved with minors. And there's a civil suit. They both been named. And I should note that Brad Post was arrested in October 19th of 2021 for child pornography right after the murder. The Hughes trial is set to go in early 2024. He is still in jail currently. This case is just everybody involved. It's like a whole thing. There isn't an innocent person I can find involved in this at all, although they do seem to feel that they have their man, Zachary Hughes. He's also, we're going to do another spotlight episode on it. It will be recently, because there's other things that have happened recently in regards to Zachary Hughes that are quite curious. And Jujubee, we're going to put it all out there for you. You'll know about it soon. You'll either be here for the live or you can watch the replay, and we'll put out everything that's going on with this one in more detail. We have not done a very detailed look at this one yet for everyone. We're going to go into greater detail for you. The next one, Chad Daybell. Well, I've heard so much about Daybell in the Lori Vallow trial that I don't really even want to talk about this man. But we do have a trial coming up next year. Next year, yeah, April. He gets a whole year. Luckily, he's sitting in jail where he belongs right now. 3 charges of first-degree murder, okay, for Ty Lee, JJ, and his wife, Tammy, okay. A joint affidavit with conspiracy was filed with Lori Vallow and several others. And those trials were severed in March of 2023. Vallow went forward. We all know what happened there. He entered a plea of not guilty. Okay. They are not negotiating. Okay. Idaho does have the death penalty. I don't know if they're going to come forward. They actually removed it on Lori Vallow based on some bad timely filings and some things, prosecution missteps, they said. However, Chad Daybell, not yet. Okay. And the bodies, let us remember, of Ty Lee and JJ were found on his property. We have seen a lot of this evidence based on the Lori Vallow trial. We've seen a lot of what's going to come forward. I don't know. We could lay odds right now whether or not we're going to see a trial in Ada County, Idaho, on Chad Daybell. Whether or not he does a plea deal, and just tries to save his life. I guess it depends on whether or not they put the death penalty out there. So we shall see. We shall see. But that's all I got to say about Chad, except for bye, Chad. Bye, Chad. Hey, and on that note, because we mentioned Lori Vallow, let's talk about sentencing dates. Okay. Lori Vallows is coming up at the end of this month in Fremont County. We know she's been guilty. No, all charges, okay? And also Danny Masterson, guilty of 2 of the assaults, okay, that was going on. He'll be sentenced on August 4th in Los Angeles, okay? Those are sentencing trial dates that we're going to be watching for to close these out. But both guilty as charged. Danny Masterson has 1 charge out there on Jane Doe 3 that they did not actually convict on. And we don't know what's going on with that. I do owe you another update on that. There was more going on with some of the JDOs. In this case, look for that in a culture conversation that's going to be coming out on podcasts, which I'll always put. I will also put out on YouTube for you as a podcast. Barry Morphew. We just talked about him a week or so ago. He's accused. His wife went missing on Mother's Day in 2020. Okay. He was charged with her murder. That was a 148-page affidavit that did not have a body or a murder scene. No murder scene, no body. They didn't even know how he did it. They just were sure he did it. 148 pages of circumstantial evidence was submitted in an affidavit, and he got charged. Okay. It was compelling and convincing. And I remember going back and forth. But this is the case, I tell you, is the point of reference for why those probable cause warrants that come out, we have to read them like they're not proved yet. This is just what they're going to be telling us. We don't even know how much of that's going to make it to evidence inside the trial, because in the Morphew case, a lot of it got thrown out pre-trial. Okay. We didn't even go to trial because as of April of 2022, the prosecution asked to pull the case and it was dismissed by the judge without prejudice, so he could go against charges again. They can refile on him without double jeopardy. But Barry Morphew decided that he is not guilty, and he's been saying it all along. And he counterfiled a $15 million civil rights suit in May of this year. And his lawyer is pretty on the ball of it. She knows you can't go and call misconduct and all of this against the prosecution, law enforcement, everyone involved in the case, while he could still go up against murder. So she actually petitioned the court, okay, to actually reclass the dismissal as with prejudice, so he couldn't be retried. Said that they were actually affecting him. They've already done enough damage. They've already proved that DA Stanley, who's on charges of her own, like she's being investigated here, not for just this case, but several others for how she conducts herself. She's there's a bunch there. I showed you guys the investigation and the results of things. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. You can go follow up with that video if you like. There was a lot there. There was a lot messed up in this case, but that doesn't mean he didn't do it. Okay, just because they made missteps, just because DA Stanley's got some issues, doesn't mean Barry Morphew's innocent. Okay, and he's trying real hard to get it reclassed and out of there. Okay, but he's also the one that had to admit voter fraud and pay a penalty and just barely kept his butt out of jail by the people he knows by actually plea dealing, and he's on probation right now for signing in his mail-in vote on his wife after her disappearance. He filled in the voter registration and mailed it in for her. So he's either like really controlling and does this kind of stuff all the time, or he was trying to make it like she was still alive. I don't know. Either way, stinks, and he was guilty and he had to confess to that. Okay. But anyway, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation has not listed this case, even though it's from 2020, as closed or cold, which means active investigation still going on, which has the defense worried. But it was denied. The judge said they are not going to reclass it. There's plenty of evidence still there. And it's up to the prosecution. It's going to stand dismissed without prejudice. And it's up to the prosecution if they want to bring it forward. So there you go on that one. Hey, what the Beck? How are you? And nice to see you, Skizkratzer. It's good. Good to see everybody. And thank you all for coming and joining the conversation. Yeah. But Barry Morphew was one of the reasons I wanted to start the series. Remember, it was one of the first ones we started talking about way back when. Okay, 148-page affidavit. Me and Jay from True Serial, my pal Jay from Hereticals, and he slammed me all the time for being mesmerized by the affidavit because he kept saying, "Nobody, no crime scene. This is going nowhere." And he predicted that it would get tossed. And it did get pulled. It didn't get tossed. It didn't get dismissed. It got pulled, really. Dismissed isn't really the right word because it wasn't a judge saying there's nothing there, out of here you go. It was more like, okay, we're willingly pulling it so that we can bring it forward again at a later date. Um, well, there you go. Bye, Barry. Okay. Brian Kohlberger, we talked about him 2 weeks ago too. Okay, because he just had a hearing um about some evidence that's not coming forward for the defense, and there was a whole bunch of stuff put up there. He's charged with the first-degree murder and burglary of the four Idaho University students. Okay, from in November. Okay, of 2022. Prosecution is seeking the death penalty currently. We don't know if that's gone through. There is a gag order currently in place on this case. We've talked about that, about how things got leaked out and how it just made him look, really, really guilty. And it's going to be one of those things where, it's always up to the judge whether they decide this stuff should come out or not, and whether or not it's fair to the actual accused or to the victims. There's always that fine line. And this judge thinks that he is being unfairly prosecuted in the media. This judge, is really upset about the media. And he's trying to keep everything copacetic. Now, whether or not this gets televised and available for streaming, we shall see. Right now, the hearings are, and you can watch them. I've actually watched a few of them myself, and I've linked them in the videos for you guys to see too. All right. During the hearing that took place, his attorney, Tyler Taylor, she actually did petition to have some evidence turned over to her. Reports were not completed in time. Things are not coming from the prosecutor's office, although she noted it's not necessarily the prosecutor's uh, fault. They are cooperating and giving them as much. There's just so much of it. But there are some reports, especially those in regards to DNA, that they want their hands on. And the judge did agree and said the discovery deadline on the requested items that she wanted would be July 14th. So we'll see if that happens. If it doesn't happen, they're going to have a really good reason prosecution, or there's going to be some trouble with trial dates and things like that, and stuff that goes forward. If they do not come forward with discovery on time, that could also affect them seeking the death penalty, just like it did in the Vallow case. Okay, there's quite a bit of similarities there. We do have a trial date coming up for Kohlberger. If everything goes forward as it does, with no more delays or pushbacks, we should have it this October. We should actually have a trial on this particular case, and this one definitely is something I want to follow, based on how the media has treated it, based on how little physical evidence I'm actually seeing, and the type of evidence that they've been talking about in the affidavit. I'm very, very curious. Yeah, well, Jujubee, it's not that they don't want to hand it over. The experts and those that actually have to do the formal report on it, on the results and the testing, that all has to be in a certain way, and apparently it wasn't done yet. You know, and that was the reason. It wasn't that the prosecution didn't want to give it to them. There was a delay on on the reporting of it, on the actual physical documentation and paperwork that has to be done in regards to that evidence. Mm. I am fascinated also by this case, especially with the way the media has been treating it. Hey, we're doing good. We're up to, whew, we're up to the 13th slide out of 16. We're up to the 14th slide out of 16, rather, and we're an hour in. So we might actually get to talk after this. Okay. Marilyn Manson civil suit. This is going to be quick. Okay. Because I owe you a video on this. So I'm not going to go into great detail. I will just tell you this. The defamation suit that Marilyn Manson, Brian Warner filed against Evan Rachel Woods and Ilma Gore has not been dismissed, regardless of what they say out there. I see a lot of people that support Evan Rachel Wood out there saying everything's just falling apart. It's over. It's been dismissed. No, it hasn't. There were some parts that got shot down. And the anti-slap was partially upheld, but not all of it. Okay. So there is still a civil lawsuit against Dave and Rachel Woods going through. There's also other cases that were against Brian Warner. Other civil suits have been dropped, and some of those cases are being refiled or updated. And I do owe you a video, and it will be coming. However, right now, we don't have a trial date on the actual defamation suit against Evan Rachel Woods and Ilma Gore until May 1st of 2024. Okay. So right now it is slow going, legal handling. I do like Brian Warner's attorneys. They do very well. The anti-slap was partially upheld, and that's a protection of certain claims that they were free speech, and he can't really go against them because they were for the greater good. This is all in regards to the documentary that she did, but there's so much more to it. So greater detail to come. On to slide 16. The Murdaugh financial crimes. Okay. You know, you think I'd be tired of speaking about Alex Murdaugh, but I'm really not. Now that I could say the name Murdaugh, okay, without the other word, it's easier. He previously had, and we're just talking financial crimes here. We all know he was convicted guilty of the murder of his wife and son. We also know that Harpootlian and Griffin have filed an appeal on his behalf. They are appealing it. Okay. We'll see how that goes. I got nothing to say on the murder part of this. But on the financial crimes, previously he had 18 indictments and 102 charges. And that was all embezzlement, stealing from his clients, bank fraud, wire fraud, you name it. Not to mention drug charges and unlicensed weapons, bandages, endangerment, obstruction, you name it. This man has got it charged against him financially. Okay. New indictments were added recently for 22 additional charges, with more conspirators charged. Fleming's going to trial recently. We all know what's happening with Lafitte, back and forth, trying to get it dismissed here based on the testimonies from the murder trial. Everything went crazy because everybody involved with him is trying to get unentangled with him, because there's nothing. He's pleading and singing. He's sitting in jail singing and talking and making pleas because Alex Murdaugh cares for no one but himself. So everyone involved in this stuff is just going back and forth, trying to get away from it as much as they can. But there are more and more co-conspirators that are being charged, everybody involved, whether they were aware of what he was doing or not. If they assisted in the illegality of it, they can be charged. Okay. Murdaugh has pled not guilty to all of these financial crimes. And even Jim Griffin says in a statement recently in an article that could change at any moment, because Alex Murdaugh is cooperating and is looking for deals to try to get a lot of this untangled and settled, because there's just so much to it. Okay. So he has pled not guilty, but even his own lawyer, his own defense attorney, has said that could change at any time to any one of the charges here, because they are cooperating and negotiating with law enforcement at this time, with the prosecutors there. They have a hearing date status and everything on September 11th. That's coming up, and we'll find out more on what's going to be going forward with the rest of these charges and indictments. But basically, because he's already sitting in jail, it's the co-conspirators cases that are coming up first. And so, like, people like Lafitte and Smith and Fleming and several others are all being prosecuted primarily first, and then they'll just take care of Murdaugh at the end. That's what it looks like anyway. Well, let me just look at Oh. No, there's no trial. That's a hearing, Bousy. There's a hearing. They have status hearings and evidence hearings and motion hearings regularly. I've got no trial date. And even if I did, we're talking now, okay, 124 charges and 19 indictments. Like there's so many trial dates on this. We will have to do a couple of sections just on the individual cases on this, and I will get that together for you, and we'll start pulling it together on which ones are coming up first. Okay. So if there was a financial crime bingo, Murdaugh would be an easy way to fill the card. Several cards, 124 charges. I guess that depends on whether you go in indictments or charges. We only got 19 indictments. That's what, like maybe two bingo cards. I don't know how many spots there are on a bingo card. How many columns are there? Five? Five times five, 25. So there wouldn't be enough to fill in a card for indictments, but there would be enough to fill almost 5 cards, bingo cards, with 124 charges. Yeah. It doesn't have uh Murdaugh bezelment. Yeah. It's not as good as Murdaugh murder, but it does have a ring. And it's true. It's an absolutely true statement. That one right there, Alex stole it. That's the hashtag, everybody. Alex stole it. Um, I think the real bingo game would be what crimes hasn't Alex committed. True, true, true. Yeah, this is going to be a roller coaster. There are so many trials to in regards to this, and because they're financial crimes, they don't get covered as much. But we're on it. We're on it. We've got people that actually are right there. Uh, in the state actually following it and sending us stuff, so it's great. Like they really try to keep us informed, and again, Fit News covers all of these. Like, we remember when we were covering the Murdaugh murder trial, I spoke about them often. They're local, they're young, independent, aggressive, pretty fair, journalistic, and they know all the players. Okay. Oh, we could do a bingo card with excuses and alibis. Oh yes, we could. Yes, we could. He was pretty good on that. Yes, he was. Yeah, we could probably make the bingo cards. Yeah, you guys, why don't you guys do that in the Discord and put up some bingo cards for Alex Murdaugh? We'll see as he gets guilty which ones. Tony, good question. It's standard operating procedure, I think, at this point, to plead guilty just so that they can negotiate in on all of this, to plead not guilty, rather, just so there's a negotiating stance. Because he did admit it in the murder trial. How could he not? Like, they're going to go forward with all of this stuff. The murder trial's on record, all of those affidavits, everything. They're going to be fodder for the trials. I mean, it's really just a negotiating tactic. I think that's why Jim Griffin is out there saying that could change at any time. What is this? Put the pug on the stand. Oh my God. Not Bubba. No, put the pug on the stand. Oh my God. Yeah. Make the dabbers for the cards, little dogs. Yeah, little Bubba heads. Oh, poor Bubba. Oh my God. Anybody still think about Bubba? I do. Oh no, I don't know if they had Yorkies. They had hunting dogs. I don't think it was Yorkies. No, I really don't think so. All right, I'm gonna pull him down and just go with my regular. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna answer your questions now. Believe it or not, I think. Let's just see. Did I make it? I made it to the end. Look at that. All the way to the end of that. Now, if there are let's talk about cases you guys know about now, because I said I would talk about some interesting finds. And there is one thing that I want to bring up, because besides mm, all of that we just went over is so much, right? I do want to talk about this young man after 8 years. This 8 years of being missing. And thank you, Mrs. Cassandra and Grace. I believe that you guys are the ones who put this in the Discord. I wasn't aware of this. This young man, um, after missing for 8 years, has finally been discovered. He's now 25 years old. He was reported as a teen missing 8 years ago. Um, at the time, he's at a Good Samaritan hospital. He's unresponsive. He was located unresponsive. They immediately called 911. Um, his name is Rudy. He's receiving care. He has to overcome trauma. He's being non-responsive, non-verbal right now. The center said he was hospitalized, and they didn't really give us a lot of additions. But from his family, they say that they are thankful that Rudy has been found and receiving the care that he needs. That is a case manager's statement for the center, and they also, by email, responded to reporters to say that the family themselves is asking for privacy. Rudy Farias was 18 when he vanished on March 6th of 2015. He was out walking his dogs. I believe there were two of them. One dog is said to have reportedly returned home without a leash later that evening, and the other one was returned without a leash also the very next day. Um, it's reported that he was depressed at the time he went missing. A private investigator hired by the Farias family spoke on it in 2015, saying that he was obviously depressed at the time. They weren't sure, but they kept looking for him. Um, he was depressed because he had watched a family friend die right in front of him, reportedly his best friend. Um, it was his brother. And he had just gone through so much more than anyone of that age, 18. The investigators in the family were all very emotionally distraught over his disappearance because they knew he wasn't in a good place. Okay. This was in Houston. They did not at the time think that any foul play had happened because they do believe that he just ran away based on his frame of mind and incidents that happened. The case is getting a little weird, Grace. Is that it? Okay. Um, it is rare for to have these kind of discoveries, but that's why I wanted to put it up because he was found. But for those families that have missing family members who just vanish or walk away or disappear, whether by something untowardly happening or just from walking away, it is quite heartbreaking for them. So I did actually want to say that he's been found, and although he appears to have gone through something horrible uh, during these 8 years, he's non-responsive. We're not sure of his mental health or anything that's going on. We're just going to watch it to find out. I want to see the story develop. But the family now knows where he is. In one way, that is actually a positive thing. Okay. So I did want to um, speak on him a little bit for that. Um, the mom has been discovered using multiple Facebook accounts, one posting as the aunt. Well, that is very weird. Why would she do that? Is she trying to like make money on him or something on this? I don't know. Like that's I didn't know that, Grace. Thanks for bringing that forward. Um Allegedly, according to a relative, there were a couple of men asking hospital personnel if he was a patient. Do not think this has been confirmed with the relative. Well, that might be trafficking there, like that, or he's involved with something that they're worried about. Yeah, it does sound a little, oh, it sounds like something we're gonna have to keep on top of. So whatever you guys have, send it to me. Grace, I'd be interested in those articles or anything that's coming forward on that. I believe in the saving graces of mercy until it comes to crimes against kids. Then throw the yep, I'm with you. And I don't like covering kids cases. And that's why I have received quite a few of them lately, and they're horrific, and like they make me so mad. There's a guy that was caught with a whole bunch of kids in his vehicle, and he's already an accused offender. He's already on the list, and he's driving around with people's children. I was infuriated, and I don't know if I can actually cover it out here, but I will be looking at it a little bit. the kids things, you guys know, after the Valo in the starch, like um I always said I really don't like to do the ones with kids. It's very hard for me to stay reasonable and unbiased and absorb all the information when you get that angry. And I'm just going to be honest, I get completely in. Mm, mm, I feel you, Aaron, because like I cannot stay unbiased when it involves kids. I just can't. But I do hope that Ruby Farias's family has some relief that they found him, and I want to keep watching it and find out, the story as it unfolds because I'm hoping he gets the care that he needs and he's going to be okay. Yeah. I'm sure if the news came into most of our lives for whatever reason, they could dig up some stuff that would sound weird to others. I'm sure. I'm sure. And he does look younger than 18, doesn't he? He's 25 now. He's 25. Okay, now. And the picture from when he went missing does look younger. And welcome, Carrie Ann. Nice to see you here. Okay. Where did they find him? I'm not exactly sure, Grace. I think he went missing in Houston. He allegedly had interrupted an attempted assault and kidnapping. Mm. This is true. Members only. Thank you for the suggestion, Aaron. Thank you so much. Yep. Mary Beth, I hear you. I get infuriated too. Another very interesting one that you guys kind of threw in my Discord a little bit is two different areas with lots of dead bodies in water. And the first one is about the I'm going to take Ruby off in. Okay. Okay, Bird Lake in Austin, Texas. I mean, let's just okay. I'll just show you Austin, Texas. Here we go. So apparently, five bodies have been pulled out of um the waters of Lady Bird Lake in Austin, Texas, which is near Rainy Street. That's the fifth body that has been found in 6 months in that lake's waters. Now, five. I mean, here's the problem. Austin, authorities are saying this is not a serial killer thing. Everybody calm down. Don't worry about it. Like this was the end of June when the fifth body was like it's obviously deceased body was pulled from the water, you know. A press conference later that day, and the actual police sergeant Lee now said the body was that of an unidentified male. No other details were given, such as the age or cause of death, and had been determined, and it was unclear how long the body had been in the water. Um, a number of disappearances have happened in recent years on Rainy Street, okay, near Rainy Street and near this lake. And yet the authorities are saying, "Calm down, everybody. This is not a serial killer. Don't worry about it." Okay. They said that they would release information if there was anything concerning to know about. That they want the people to be safe, but people are starting to push back. Okay. Um, they pulled a body out on April 18th. Um, there's just a lot going on. These in many cities known for their nightlife, which Austin, like really, this area is a hot nightlife spot near bodies of water. It's not that uncommon for people to drown accidentally after an evening out on the town, okay, or a robbery or this or that or the other thing. So maybe it's not a serial killer, but it's an awful lot of bodies and an awful lot of missing people. Um, and I think that the more they push back saying there's nothing to look here, the more people are going to say, you really need to look at it a little harder because even though they're saying there's no evidence of foul play in any of the recent deaths or bodies that they found, um, it's a bit concerning. I mean, the Austin Police Department put out a statement that they are aware of the speculations, but they're pushing back. They're pushing back. They're looking at all of the available information, and they don't think that it's a serial killer case. So I don't know. Okay. Um, we're going to be looking at it. I just wanted to bring it. I know that some of you were talking about it, so I figured we could talk about it a little bit because we have a few minutes before I wrap up the show. Um, but still, Ladybird Lake, but call it Town Lake to make it easier. Okay, Town Lake. Okay, near Rainy Street. Okay, in Austin, Texas. Yes, that's where it was. But that wasn't the only one you guys dropped on me. Okay. Yes, it's true, Carrie, that flowing waters lose bodies unless it's swamp. This is true. Okay. I don't know. I guess it's something to look at. I mean, there are quite a few cases that are open with multiple bodies being found in a lot of different areas. I mean, a lot of lakes that were dredged that found multiple bodies and stuff. It doesn't mean it was a serial killer dumping spot, easy body of water near big bright light city. Not that unusual. Although there are quite a few and within a couple of, within a month. That's yeah. Yeah. Oh, they have identified him. That's good for his family, Grace. I'm glad that the missing person in the body was identified. For those that are left behind, not for him, of course. Sorry that he's gone, but for the family, it's better that they know. It is all men so far that they're saying, and they have been part of the nightlife. Yes, and also numbers of bridge people in Carrie Ann's right, those numbers are increasing all over our country, but like not to the point that there would be this many. They're not even saying that officially. you know no trauma to the bodies at all. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Nope. Thank you, Grace. Looks like we need to talk about this one, huh? Yeah. And there's another one. Yeah. Yes, Juju. Here we go. We're gonna go to Chicago next. Hold on, let me just get that one up. I'm trying to like do resources, so give me a minute while I clean up that. Close that, and I'll go back and thank you all who brought this forward. Okay, for me. At the end of June, there was another article from the New York Post in regards to Chicago. Actually, um, let me see if I could get this. We'll pull this one up. Okay. And we'll just look at this one with you guys briefly. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. There you go. 16 bodies have been pulled from Chicago waterways since 2022. Okay. That's a lot more than the 5 they're talking about in a couple months in Texas, but um there's people that have been, people that are covering this also, promoting a serial killer fears that people are saying it's not just a coincidence anymore. Again, they're pushing back. Okay. The remains of 10 men and 6 women have been pulled from a Chicago river in Lake Michigan since the beginning of last year, prompting fears of a serial killer terrorizing the community. Patterns have been noticed as bodies have piled up. 5 men's bodies recovered just in the last 6 months. There's too many coincidences, a CIA and FBI federal agent, a former CIA and federal agent said, told the actual journalist by phone. They think that serial killers could be at work in this, pointing out that the cases of accidental drownings, bodies being recovered from where the victims were reported missing, and short periods during which multiple victims have been found. In a case like this, there are so many similar patterns right across the board. So it is not just coincidence anymore. This is from someone not actively investigating the case. This is a former FBI agent and CIA person actually speaking on it, which I'm adding that because you got to take that into consideration. Remember, the people actively involved in the investigation are telling everybody to chill. Again, here in Chicago, they are telling everybody, chill out. It's not a serial killer. This is what happens. Okay. The latest that was pulled out of the water was a 26-year-old named Noah Ennis, who was recovered around June 17th, 5 days after he vanished following a rock concert at a local music hall. Okay. It was about a block from where his body was found. In the, okay. Officials have yet to release the cause of death or the manner of his death, and his family is working with private investigators to find justice. Okay. They actually started a GoFundMe to help pay for the investigation. The father released this statement. I know that Noah wasn't the first one to go missing and be found in the river, and I sure as shit hope that he's the last. His girlfriend also was fighting back tears during a vigil and also getting a statement that she know Noah wasn't the first one to go missing. Okay. Oh, she's the one who said that. I'm sorry, not the father. It was his girlfriend Nicole that said that. Okay. These are the dates: June 23rd, May 23rd, April 23rd. They found two. March 23rd, another drowning. Okay. February 23rd, drowning. December 22nd, two, both by accident. Some of these, especially the one in February, was actually determined to be an unliving. Okay. In June of 2022, another. In May, two more. Undetermined cause, but drowning or cause undetermined. April, another. Two, three, four were found in April of 2022. The first one, a woman, Kathleen Martin, was found on March 2022, drowning, manner undetermined. Okay. Only two have been determined as unliving through um, through drowning, and that would be a woman in April of 2022 and a gentleman in February of 2023. All of the rest, 14 of them, are still listed as pending, undetermined, or unavailable. One has been determined as an accident, and that would be the gentleman that they discovered December of 2022. Okay. That's a lot. Okay. They're still actively investigating a lot of them, especially the undetermineds. They point, it's kind of hard because when the actual law enforcement is pushing back saying nothing to see here, there's really nothing to determine that it would be a serial killer. Like, because let's open this up for conversation. And let me just be the contrarian or, play devil's advocate here. These are drownings. Nothing on the bodies are reporting that anything else might have happened. Okay. There are no other obvious signs of injuries. Everything's being listed as undetermined. Um, they don't have enough to say that it was anybody else was involved. What they have is a local hotspots near water place and things happen. Okay. Now, does that mean that they weren't accosted or robbed and then thrown in, knocked unconscious, thrown in, whatever? But even if they were, there would be head trauma. There would be some evidence on the body if anything else foul had happened. Okay. There would be evidence of it. And currently, they're saying there wasn't. All right. But it's a lot of them. And I think that this is all stemming from the fear that we do have so many cases of serial killers that go on for years and nobody puts two and two together. And I think there's that that fear that, oh, automatically we're going to say, okay, well, maybe that's what's going on here, you know? And maybe. So I'm going to put my thank you membership banner up to everyone that contributes to the channel in my Patreon or regularly through YouTube. I thank you all. Um, this has been a different way for me to do the true crime thing. I hope you did enjoy just the brief updates that I did, just trying to get everything together. But I do want to talk about more cases that you want to follow, although we got to clear up some of these for there to be room. I noticed while I was doing the updates how long it's been since I talked about certain ones, like Samuel Bankman or Marilyn Manson, that need really good updates for you guys, and the new ones even on Christina Parcell's murder. Okay. Hmm. Tony Regime says in regards to the drownings, I bet that they are unconnected. A large body of water is the perfect place to dispose of a body, and then there are accidental drownings of drunks on their way home from clubs and bars. Exactly. You know, yeah, sadly, somebody probably is there, and this is true. Yep. It is the similarities. They are all drowned, and they all are undetermined. And there is also no marks on the body. So are they accidental or not? Uh-huh. There's a lot of places you can access that body of water. Exactly, Mousy. So, it's just the fact that we know serial killers exist. We've got lots of proof of it, right? Every day. Drunk people fall in the water all the time when there is water to fall into. I'm sure there are experts in the water flow around there who can show why the bodies gathered there. Exactly. Tides and all of that. It's a big lake, you know. Maybe that river just has a good rating on Murder Yelp. Okay, stop it. I'm sorry. And I'm not laughing that they're gone, believe me. But just the idea that somebody would put that on Murder Yelp. Well, Mrs. Cassandra said that law enforcement says that the ER doctor who was found shot in the lake was an unliving incident, so it's sus. True. That's the gentleman from December. I kind of agree. I didn't really like that. They labeled that way there. Um, there are many break walls jutting into the water at most Michigan city ports too. Yep, ways to take people off them. I get it. And Lake Michigan is notoriously cold even in summer. True. So if you were drunk and you got into that water, you could actually, you know, the cold could consume you. You could lose function. Your brain when it gets cold, you can't think straight, and they could have added to their own demise accidentally. Absolutely. The pattern seems to be that they're all drowned. That's the consistent. And now they're saying that there's not a lot on the bodies. Some of them they have determined, two of them, that there was enough evidence there to say that they contributed to their own deaths. However, the bulk of them they're saying undetermined or accident. One of them they're saying accidental. Excellent point. If we can't be hypocrites with each other, who can we be hypocrites with? Exactly. At least we own it, right? Hmm. Tony thinks a few of them may have lost their balance on their way home when they were relieving themselves. Perhaps. Is this an uptick of the usual number of bodies found? Not according to law enforcement, but according to speculators, yes. All drowned with no markings on the body. Exactly. In in the one in Austin, they were all men who were at Rainy Street bars before they ended up in the water. Exactly. And law enforcement is trying to say that's not unusual. That drunk people fall in water, basically, is what they're saying. Yeah. I do think, let's just keep an eye on it. Like, that's what I think. I do. I can't really at this point say that there's much to it. I'd have to look up some statistics. We have to choose to believe law enforcement or speculators. Shoot, that's a hard one. No, because unless I see more, I don't know who to believe. And actually, it's not uncommon for law enforcement to try to keep us calm while they investigate, and while they check things out. For all they know, they got a suspect and we don't even know. They're just going to keep us all calm so we don't contribute to additional problems. Okay. That's just how it goes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, if they're targeting people who are inebriated, often night spots like this are actually great pickup places for those with just bad ideas in mind, serial killers and whatnot, attackers, robbers, just criminals in general. So, hey, and I'm with you there, Jujubee. I'm just gonna, oh, I lost it. I blame the moon. I blame the moon. Let's just blame the moon. Okay. But on that, I do hope you all enjoyed this little bit of different way of doing it. We'll be back to covering just one or two next week. I will be back Tuesday with another true crime and legal update for you guys. And like I said, if there's other cases that you want to talk about and things that we don't, I enjoy this actually looking at these. There's nothing legal here to go on, but it's something to put on the back burner. Grace, I am going to create a room for you guys to drop this stuff in regards to what should we call it? Let's decide what to call it in the Discord. Shall we call it just suspected serial killer activity? Like, and then we can slush this out and we could do an episode every so often on what comes up. Okay. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to create it suspected serial killer stuff. There was a lot of deaths in Canada that happened, a lot of bodies. There's the ones in the lake that's being pulled. There was a lot of bodies there. And people always talk about whether it's a serial killer or not. So let's just follow them all statistically on that avenue alone. Okay. And then if they do come up with anything, and it is a serial killer for that area, we will make a room just for that one. Okay. But for now, I'm going to put them all in the same room. Yeah, that is a cool name, Carrie, but I think I'm not going to call it that. We'll just like suspected serial killer activity. How's that? Yeah. Well, yeah, bath time is another good name, Beck, but I okay. I love the dark humor. I really do. I do. You didn't slip. You meant that. You didn't slip. Okay. But seriously, I do feel for the families of missing people in for finding out that their loved ones are drowned and they don't have answers. It's got to be horrible to lose someone and not have an answer. It's horrible to lose anyone in general, let alone not have answers to what happened. Okay, and so I do hope that they do more investigation and they actually do give them some answers, some plausible answers as to what's going on, so they can be put to rest. But for everyone that's here in the States, if it's getting dark where you are, whatever, I hope you do get some fireworks. I know I'm not going to have any here on the East Coast. It was just too stormy today and it didn't clear up enough. But yep, I will be back tomorrow afternoon for those of you who are interested in political. We are going to do political review. Hopefully, High Inquisitor will be joining me. We're going to go over some Supreme Court opinions that were made recently. Some good, some bad. There's one good one that I like, and there's one bad one I really, really, really don't. But if you all want to talk about it, we'll be there on tomorrow, or you can watch the recap. I'm going to put on the community tab a little bit of schedule, but let's just say I'm going to be active on YouTube every day this week. Every day. Every day. So look for the notifications. Please let me know if you're getting them. As I said, we do need a little help with that algorithm. So do the YouTubey things. Um, I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it because there's nothing else I can do at this point. Uh, YouTube doesn't like me anymore. They liked me about a month ago, but they don't like me this month. And so I need your help. And on that, I would just say thank you all for being here. Thank you for my members. Thank you for your support. And thank you for everybody who contributes in the trap. The you see, it's getting late. The chat, not the trap, the chat, because these discussions, I mean, you help keep the conversation going. You make it more pleasant to be out here. You actually fuel me on all of this. It makes it much easier, much more pleasant, much more entertaining for everybody involved. And I love that. I love giving you a place to talk, and I love hearing your ideas about it all too. On that, I'm gonna also say thank you to my mods who make this really easy for me to be up here and to do what I do without having to worry about anything, and to make our chat a good, safe place for opinion of all type with respect and, some forethought. And I do absolutely appreciate all of you. Yes, Liam Bear Trap. I'm getting tongue tied. Yeah, I got to go get a drink. Hey, Peter Collins, good to see you. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And Carrie Ann, I'm glad you made it live. I heard that you're just recently getting into all of this true crime stuff, so I hope you had a pleasant time in the chat. And we hope to see you again soon, along with everybody else. On that, I'm going to say good night until tomorrow. All right.